Right. Gosh, I've learned a lot today. Right, on to our final speaker for morning/afternoon. Joseph, if you're with us, you're going to talk about how we can break out of the digital doghouse. Loved this title of session when I heard it, and hopefully you are.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm just sharing my screen. That's all right with everyone.
Fantastic. Take it away.
So hopefully you can see that. Move that over there.
We can, yeah.
If you can't, yeah, great. Okay, so I'm Joe Tinsley. I'm the systems accountant at Pennine Care. And while I have responsibility over maintaining the financial system, what I actually spend most of my time doing is redesigning and implementing new processes in the finance department. And that's so we can provide a better service to those people out in the ward and on the front line. One of the most impactful ways we've done this is through RPA. But what I want to do really is take you on our journey, and to do that, we're just going to look at where we were. So, April 2022. So if you cast your mind back to early April 2022, COVID was much reduced. The digital landscape of the NHS was changing, of how we were working. Going from being in the office 5 days of work to everyone working from home, then to a hybrid situation. It was all kind of up in the air. At Pennine Care, wanted to see how well our digital strategy had coped with all the changing, so we commissioned a review. And the review came back with the following. We had a below foundational level of digital maturity with an average score of 1.4 out of 5. And compared that with the digital footprint across Greater Manchester, their average was at 2.2, and our nearest competitor was at 2.5. So we weren't in a great position, really. But the good thing about being towards the bottom is you can only go up. Now, this is also reflected within the finance team as well. So if we look at the finance team, everything was Word or Excel-based forms that we had to email out to people when they were requesting something. We're only really using 50% of our actual financial ledger system that we were paying for. The functionalities were going to waste, and we were doing everything manually. And we had 13 different shared inboxes managed by different teams. So you can imagine how confusing that is for anybody trying to contact finance about anything. And we only had one mass upload going into our ledger. So everything else was done manually. And absolutely no automation whatsoever. We had manual processes coming out of our ears. The documentation of it filled lots of folders. So not a great position. But if we skip forward to now, so 2 and a bit years later, we've now got 43 separate Power Automate flows all running in the background doing the manual processes that we're looking at. We have 31 flows in Freshworks, which is like a IT service desk type of thing, which allows us to automate what's going in our shared inboxes. And I reckon we've probably saved over 40 hours per month, at least through these flows. So you can see the kind of contrast in what we would do and where we were to where we are now. But, we didn't just kind of stumble over something and it all kind of happened. We didn't end up with an extra 40 hours per month to do extra work and 74 workflows. We had to start somewhere. So I'm someone who can procrastinate very easily, sometimes for days, hours, weeks. I'm sure there's a few people out there as well who do the same. An example, I called the mechanic yesterday to get the brakes tested on my car, which I was meant to do since January. So, that's the type of level of procrastination we're talking about here. So how the saying that I say to myself, and that is, just start. If you want to do something, you don't know how to go or what you're going to do with it. If you can see an endpoint, just start heading towards it. So that's what we did. We created our first Power Automate to collect shout-outs with the team, and that's every month we have a meeting for the whole department, and if someone in the team somewhere has done something really well, and you want to say thank you to them, you shout out and everyone gives you a little round of applause and you get to feel a bit special about it. I've had a few, I did tell you what, I did feel a bit special, but we wanted to automate how that's done. So we created a form to do it, a little put our automate flow in the background to put it into a list for us, and then copy and paste into a slide to go on a PowerPoint presentation to be presented at the monthly meeting, which was really our first delve into it. So we just kind of started, identify something, start, and get it on. From there, we just grew. We just started identifying more things that we can automate. And you can do it too. Identify one thing, start with that, learn about it, go from there. Create that. Right. So one of the simplest things we've done, and I've included in these slides the export from our third-party payments. So this is the process that I'm pretty sure everybody has to do, where you get your payroll documentation in. It's got third-party information that's sent out to anyone who's had to pay a third party out of the salary. This information is taken by our transactional team, split out, and then had to send emails out to wherever they need to go to. Process itself, it takes 30 minutes to split out that information, but it's taking up to 3 hours to send out the emails. So trying to automate an end-to-end process was a bit too much, really. The time saved and splitting out the information was too complicated to do it for the amount of time saved. But the emails, they take about 3 hours per month to send out. So we created the workflow to send the emails out. And the way that this works is we have our trigger at the top. I've heard a few people talk about. So when the file's created, we created the SharePoint file. And you drag and drop the file into SharePoint. The flow then checks to make sure that they've got the file and brings all the information from SharePoint into the flow. And then a couple of steps down the line, it sends out an email if there's a file there to be sent. It's automatically triggered, so we don't have to do anything manually. It just kind of runs in the background. The email that gets sent to the right person with the right reference numbers, reducing out any human error that could occur. It stops you having to type it or the hi, how are you? Hope you had a good weekend, and so on and so forth emails. It's all done, dusted for you, and you don't have to do anything. So that sends out an email to whoever the third party recipient is, whichever, depending on which folder you dropped it into, and that's you done. So 3 hours saved. Very, very simple process. And like I say, I've included it in slides here, which will be available afterwards for you guys to just be able to drag and import it straight away, and that'll hopefully then save you 3 hours. Sending an email, 31 different emails every month, was time consuming and very open to human error. Okay, but that's easy. That's an easy one. Something a little bit more complicated that we can do just to kind of show the power that we've got behind our automate. BDU forms. So as you can see, I wear glasses. A few other people wear glasses. Sometimes we want to claim for our eye tests, which is what BDU forms do. Before, we had a paper-based form that went out. So if someone says, I want to claim for my glasses, okay, here you go, he'll fill this form in. They return the form, it's only half filled in, you go back, okay, can you fill the rest in, please? Have you got authorization from this person? Please put the receipt on. The Microsoft form that we've got takes all that away. If you don't fill in every single part of it that we need, the form doesn't get submitted. So straight away, we've cut out a whole load of emails that you can't even really quantify the amount of time you'll be able to save on it. Again, the trigger is when the form is submitted. We get the response details back in, and what we do is bring those into the Power Automate flow, which is what you have to do with every flow. And then this complicating bit of JSON formula thing, because we have a receipt uploaded with the flow with the form, that's held within Microsoft OneDrive. So what this does, it goes out to OneDrive and gives attributes to all the little bits and pieces that we need to be able to bring into the flow. The information that we need to send out for authorization a little bit later on. When it's done that, we create a SharePoint list, and that list will capture every single bit of information that was put into the form at that point, and also it'll attach into the list the attachment that was there as well. They apply to each. We get the file content and bring that into the flow at this point, so that we can then attach it further on into the emails that we go further down. Once that's all kind of done, gone too far. Once that's done, we send an approval email out to the budget holder. They fill in with the budget holder name. And if it's approved, well, happy days. We send an email out to tell the person automatically. We send an email out to the person who requested it, saying, it's all been approved. You'll get your payment in the next 3 to 5 days. Just look out for it, and so on and so forth. And we'll send an email out to our transactions team, who then go off and pay the VDU form claim. If it's a no, then they get an email again, the person who requested it, to say no, and the reasons why it was rejected. And then this goes off, which you can't see on here, but it goes off and it updates the SharePoint list again with what's been going on and why it's going on, why it's been going on. And then we've got a full audit trail of everything that's happened when someone submitted a VDU form. Why is it important for that? Well, this one's submitting 5 VDU form claims with slightly different names or something. We can easily see that within the SharePoint list. So it's really good for fraud prevention and things like that. So that's a little bit more complicated and includes an approval. Really useful for things like Microsoft Forms, which the other speakers have spoken about today. If you remember on one of my earlier slides, I mentioned that we had 13 different inboxes. And that's just for our one department. We've got 13 inboxes. So can you imagine someone trying to contact the finance department for something and choosing from a list of 13 inboxes? It's I got confused about it. Never mind someone on a ward who just wants to get something done. So we have an ambition for a single point of entry into the finance department. We also have an ambition to have a named person against every query we get into it. So the solution was Freshworks. And what Freshworks is really good at doing is getting the shared inboxes, putting them in one place, and then being able to categorize what kind of queries we're getting. We have workflows behind everything that's going on, so that then instead of someone having to go into an inbox and categorize things and look through things, it automatically gets done for us. So workflows. Good thing about the workflows, it kind of just works out the same as Microsoft Forms and Power Automate. Whereas Microsoft Forms should have a link to go to. Instead, we have a service catalog, which is linked on our intranet. So that works like Microsoft Forms. Was a bit more difficult to kind of set it up than Microsoft Forms, but it's only slightly. But the workflows within Freshworks are just as powerful as Power Automate and a little bit easier to understand, I think. Not only that, but it can link into third-party apps. So we can link it into different bits and pieces that we've got installed, as long as we've got an API key or something like that within Power Automate, and as long as IT says yes, and that's obviously a big thing for us. IT saying no quite a lot. But we can also have the ability to use object-oriented programming to update lists. So we have a list of budget holders against cost centers. Instead of having someone type in the budget holder, we can go to our object, pull that into the workflow, and it automatically gets gets approved. And if that person ever changes, we don't have to go and change a workflow or anything like that. We're just going to change the list. Changes once and it updates every single workflow. So that's really useful. What we're doing with them now, so we had quite a lot of Microsoft Forms probably about a year ago. And we're going to use Freshworks where we can to replace Microsoft Forms and Power Automate so that things are all in one area. Managers can see kind of what's going on, what work's coming in, and then we can proactively tackle any issues that we kind of see. There is a couple of limitations within Freshworks that Power Automate doesn't have, and that's generally around how Freshworks is built up. For instance, we have a URL. So the reason we're using BDU forms within Power Automate and not bringing it into Freshworks is because the URLs for attachments refreshes every 24 hours in Freshworks, and if you send out an authorization, if they come to it a couple of days later and they'll go to look at the link, the link's expired. So we have to be wary of those kind of limitations when designing which system we want to use for which things. So a bit of an example. So this is exactly how a workflow looks. Everyone see that that's not too small. Yeah. So this is exactly how it is. So here we have our trigger when a ticket is raised. So we call a ticket. So a ticket is just could be an email in or a request coming in that's filled in by a form. This one's for our cloud bridge notification. So we have a third-party forecasting solution that updates overnight, pulling information from Ledger going one way and pushes information back into Ledger another way. If it's successful, great. We don't need to do anything. But if it's not successful, we need to take some actions to figure out why it's not successful. But if you can imagine coming in before coffee in the morning, looking at an email that was sent at 4 a.m. and seeing whether something is successful or not, having to look down a long list of success, and then there's a failure right at the bottom. Very easy to miss. This reduces any of that human error that's going to come into that by, instead of just making us look at the email and make a decision based on what's included in the email, it makes a decision for us based on the parameters that we have set around it. If it's a success, I say great, goes along the top row. We set our categories up so that we can analyze it later to make sure everything's a success. This is part of the object-oriented programming that we were talking about before, where we go off and read a different list to bring that list back in to set another category, and then we set it to close because we don't need to do anything with it. If it's failed, does exactly the same thing, but sets a couple of different categories. Again, reads from the object to be able to bring that information in for us. And then it sets some properties around the ticket for us to look at. It gives us the tasks that we need to perform to be able to go into the system to be able to fix kind of what's gone wrong. So, kind of what's next? So I think we've come quite far in the past couple of years. But we're going to keep on expanding Freshworks, incorporating more of the shared inboxes we've got. We've currently got 2 on there fully. We're halfway through doing another one, which means we've got 10 more inboxes to go, and they're only going to get more and more complicated. More Power Automate implementations. We're not averse to using Power Automate. Now we've got a new shiny Freshworks tool. You use the best tool for the job, and sometimes that's Power Automate. And we can use Power Automate to link in Microsoft systems into Freshworks by using Power Automate, because the Freshworks works by sending an email. So any email that goes in, we can move emails from people's inboxes into Freshworks, then we'll have a workflow running behind those emails that come in. We're very ambitious to want to import data through SSIS into SQL. So if anyone knows anything about SSIS, it's very hard to find people that actually do. Please get in contact. We're we built our SQL data warehouse about a year ago now, so we're looking to try and automate everything that's kind of going into there. And again, the SSIS tool is probably the best one to do. We tried to use Power Automate to do this, but IT said no, we can't link the server for you. So stuck with what we've got, unfortunately. But looking back a couple of years ago, I couldn't imagine where we were kind of today, based on where we were at that time. Wouldn't have really thought it was possible. So anything that kind of comes up, we're always open to kind of hearing about it and doing it. Really, we've got a saying that we use all the time in the systems team, and that's pinch with pride. I'm absolutely happy to pinch any of your ideas that come out, and I'm happy for you to pinch my ideas also. And in fact, I'll even help you implement them. So, thank you for your time today. If you need help, don't hesitate to get in touch. I'm generally active on the software skills channel in NHS Finance, so just tag me in your post so I can see it. I'll get around to responding. So if you're still wondering what to do and where to go, just start using Power Automate. It will, you'll be able to build on it very quickly, very easily. So, any questions, anybody?
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Joseph. That was really good. I've not come across Freshworks before, admittedly. So, how did you come around to getting lots of claps in the chat there? How did you come to decide on that one? Was there a process for considering it, or keen to?
Not really a process for considering it. It was all what our IT department used.
Okay.
Yeah. So when the ambition came down from the director of finance to say we need to have a single point of entry, and these were the things where that people in the service were struggling with when contacting finances. So when we were looking around at how to kind of solve these issues and really reach that ambition of having that single point of entry, Freshworks kept on coming back again and again, kind of in the discussions we were having with our team. So we kind of put a business case together and just went and got some funding to get some licenses for it, talked to IT, and now we work fairly closely with our IT department to implement it. We implemented it back in March for the systems team, and management accounts went next in June, I think. And so far it's been kind of revolutionary, like Freshworks. If you can get it, I would highly recommend getting Freshworks or something similar. Obviously, I'm not paid by them or anything.
Other suppliers are available, of course. Yeah. There's no direct questions, so we're keen if anyone put up their hand. But there's a few people talking about SSIS imports. In fact, you've got a volunteer in Robert Harris down in Cornwall who's going to see if we can find a contact for how the information services teams did it. So you might have some light there. There's Jamie's just asked a question. Thanks, Jamie. What tool do you use for mapping your processes when designing new ones?
The tool we use is called Draw.io. So if you type into Chrome, Firefox, Edge, your browser preference, Draw.io, it's a completely free tool that you can use to design and draw your process. There's one in there in one of the slides about the third-party automation. The top one was from Draw.io. It's very easy to use. James linked it there, and cheaper than Visio because it's free, really. So,
brilliant. Any other final questions here? Unless I've missed any, which I have a habit of doing. No, I think that's it. Thanks so much, Joseph. It's really good to see you again, and really good. And if you want to catch Joseph, he's on the Software Skills channel as well. So thanks very much for joining us. It's been really good.
Thanks, everyone.
Right, so that brings us to the end of our day. I think it's been really useful. What a fantastic day we've had. We've started off with Jamie, who took us through Power Automate web